fuck is up? What's up, guys? Let's go. Yeah, make some noise for Proto Hype, making this all happen for you guys. Make it come cool. Having a good time in Los Angeles? What's up?
Oh yeah.
All right. So most of you may know my name or my music. Sullivan King. I do a lot of dubstep and metal shit. But yeah, for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar, I'll give you a little backstory. About 7 years ago, I went to a music school where I met Max, called Icon Collective. And back in the day, it was way different than it is now. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with that. And yeah, just from there, I just wanted to give you a little bit of all this. How did I go from that to here? Because obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are in the same position of how do you go from being in your bedroom to doing this. So while I was there and had no idea what I was doing, I went there to become a fucking EDC main stage progressive producer like fucking Zed and everybody else. That was a cool thing to do. And then obviously that was lame. So now I make dubstep and metal, and that's even more lame. So so there I met a kid who was super shy, super quiet from the Bay Area. His name is now Jaws. And at the time we were writing in these little studios with blown out speakers in Glendale, California. And we made a song called Pure Evil. That song got picked up in 2014 by Bygor. That song then went on to get played out by a group called Dirty Phonics on a tour with a guy named Excision. From there, that was the first time my music got supported. That was pretty cool. After that, Excision hit up Jaws and said, can I have the stems for this song? And I want to use it in my set for a new project called Destroy. We all freaked the fuck out. We were like, oh my god! Can we be famous? Waiting for those EDC offers that still have never come. So that's sweet. 2014, I was working with a music publisher. Publishing is where your music gets into TV and film, where you make a lot of money. And we were working at the time on super small things. He needed little dubstep noises because that was kind of the cool thing for commercials. So I was helping him out, making $100 here and there to pay rent. I met a kid who was super humble, dressed in this suit, and looked like a butler. And he was at the time working as a host at a Morton Steakhouse. He now is, at the time, he was this really humble, polite kid. Turned out to be the most elegantly psychotic person I've ever met in my life. He goes by the name of Ghastly.
Yeah.
Ghastly is somebody who's probably lived 100 lifetimes in one.
Yes.
And he's a fucking awesome dude.
Yes.
So Ghastly and I worked together on a few songs, and we went to EDC with no tickets, no money in our pockets, hoping we could maybe get artist passes because we were producers. And we went, just, hoofed it, picked up some, scout tickets, went in 2014, and I was at the rail, just like everybody else, and ran into a guy at the rail named Excision. And I said, yo, you've been playing on my track in your sets. And I was like, oh, what to do? Can I send you more musical treatment? I was like, yeah, dude, send me more shit. And from there, I sent him a couple demos that were absolute garbage, of course, as we've all gone through. And nothing really happened for a few years, but sent him these tracks. He actually signed them to his label Rotten at the time and put them out. I remember the last email I sent was around 4th of July, so I said, yo, happy 4th, Jeff, and I had no idea it was fucking Canadian, so that was really stupid. And that's, 5 years later, we just finished up the Apex tour together, and I went out tour with, Hero. So, we all start somewhere, and I want you guys to know that we're here for a reason, and we're awesome coming. So, we're going to break down Wake Up a little bit, since that's a song I have with Jeff, and it's a really, really cool one. It's got some cool layers, things like that. First, I think we're going to do track feedback and stuff. You want to do that at the end? Okay, so you want me to do this first? All right, sweet. So let's break this down a little bit. I kind of had to choose what to do with this, but, this kind of became a bigger song. So the one thing I get asked a lot is kind of vocals, and these are all vocal layers. So, you've got, let's actually make sure sound cards on and all that. Go away. It's only at the top, so oh my god, it's so pretty, yay. So, what I really do is when I'm writing a song, and I'm going to kind of go more, I'm sure that you guys have heard a lot of people writing in an aspect of like, okay, I'm going in to make these fat drums and I want to make these, dubstep noises, and this is how you make your sub bass sound big. I mean, I don't know what kind of album did, but I'm sure it did an amazing job with that. But, my approach is really a songwriting approach. And I try to go in with an acoustic guitar, and I try to write some lines, and I try to write melodies, and it might just be words and if only heaven just, you hum a melody in your microphone and you do all these things, and that's how it all kind of started. This first line, right here, I'll fill a little bit.
It's lonely at the top, so I'm told. But the bottom up.
Just that vocal, which I'll play it dry as well. You guys, everyone knows what dry means?
Yeah.
Cool. Making sure. If there's anything you don't know, raise your hand. So by itself,
I'm told. But the bottom of the barrel.
so just know every vocal that sounds good, there's all this shit on it most of the time. So just know, like, Dick, and I had no idea what I was doing with this vocal. I went in, I threw a bunch of EQs and some cool plugins, and these like clipping plugins
I'm told.
make it sound all gross, which you can use on anything, right? But when I went in with that vocal was actually about 3 lines that I had written 3 years prior by myself in a bedroom, and just kind of took that. He said, hey, let's write like a ballad thing, it might be fun. I said, okay. And I thought, well, there's these 3 lines I have, let's base off of that. Grabbed the guitar and just started kind of tracking some guitar somewhere here, clean guitar. All right. And all these guitars are also doubled, which means you record 2 of them and you put 2 in the left and 2 in the right, so it sounds super thick, right? Because otherwise, if we just had one guitar, kind of thin, right? Put them all together. You got a nice big stereo spread, everything is great. And then what you do is you stick that vocal right in the middle.
Lonely at the top.
Ooh, nice. Oh my God, I'm crying. So I went in with that, kind of did a loop, and this track went through a lot of evolution and a lot of back and forth with Jeff, but there's, kind of like, it's that, and then we came up with like a chorus melody, and the chorus melody I think is here, this nice, there's all that, right? We've got some layers of acoustic guitars. So it's all really basic, and when you're doing a live song, you're focusing on an element and you're just building around it. So it's good, let's get a great vocal, and everything's just going to be really simple and fit around that. That is your basis for everything, and obviously with the drops, that's a totally different approach, but, writing a great vocal, coming up with the hook, repeating the hook, slowly building it, like let's really build anticipation. There's a lot, that's not songwriting, whereas like with a dubstep song, you are songwriting, but it's a little bit different of an approach, and going in and going, okay, let's do this guitar line or this, melody, and it's just 4 chords, simple. You can do it on a piano roll, and then taking the vocal and slowly evolving and kind of, let's do this, let's build it, and then there's a little release in it, and we go through the song. So this is kind of the peak of the verse, right? Everything's coming in. New element, right? Okay, this is where everything kind of comes together. Big hook, big build. Only drums that have come in are just like a little kick drum and some hi-hats. There's nothing on the song. It really is so right there, the only thing that's actually coming in is these distorted guitars, right? And they're filtered in. That's it. We're just filtering 4 guitar layers. Nothing else. The first time we bring in a sub bass, the first time we bring in full dubstep drums, the first time that we're bringing in anything that isn't actually on the songwriting perspective of things. And there's certain mentalities that I try to take when I do that, because there's stuff that's built for, the stage and built for people mixing in and out and quickly double dropping and all that. And there's stuff that's made to listen to on a daily basis when you're going through your breakup or you're doing whatever. Obviously, I don't know how much of that fucking applies to you guys, but so it's so hard to go through this song because there's literally fucking nothing. I mean, if you want to hear like you want to hear me sound like someone's literally gripping my balls. But there's vocal harmonies and there's all kinds of things that are layered in here, just tucked in the background. And that's the number one tip that I have for anything you do is layer the fuck out of everything. I worked with Company and I looked at his songs and I'm like, what the fuck? It's literally just one bass sound that you hear that's like bleh. There's broken glass underneath it, and there's some weird little high-end chirpy thing, and then there's a hi-hat and there's a shaker, and then there's the main bass, and it's just all stacked. The vocals in here, there's how many tracks? Like 15 vocal layers.
So
and
captivate me one more time. Show me how I'm divine.
and all these things, you don't hear those because you hear the main. So captivate me one more. That one, right? And that's also doubled. So when you're doing that one vocal, this main.
So captivate me one more time.
And there's different styles of performances too. One's a little bit softer and a little bit more like, on the less masculine side, and then some have a little more girth to them. And everything matters on how you're laying. You're looking to fill up frequencies. You're looking to fill up like, okay, this sounds a little thin, so let's add something low, or let's add something with a little bit more, bottom to it. And that's what I go for when I'm doing
So
this. And then there's a low. Right? So we have 3 octaves. We have this low octave.
So captivate me one more time.
Main one.
Show me how I'm divine.
High. So all these are going.
So captivate me one more time. Show me how I'm divine.
It's all in there. How many of you guys are Bring Me the Horizon fans? Hell yeah, that's what's up. But dude, Ollie Sykes, layer, doubled, tripled, tuned, everything. Because that's what you do in a studio. You get everything to sound nice and full and super beefy. And that way, when I take things out, you notice it. You go, oh shit, something's nice and soft. That's why the intro is so nice and soft. There's only 3 vocals. There's a main, there's 2 doubles, and they're tucked and quiet. I'll help you guys out. I don't know if you're vocal. If any of you guys are ever working with vocals, which will happen at one point, and you're gonna go, what the fuck do I do? What other questions we got on this song while I'm here? Yeah.
Do you record your vocals straight into Ableton?
I do. I record directly into Ableton. I use literally like one of these mics for the longest time. I recorded this on a shitty little mic like this. Yeah. Any other questions on this? Yep. I did not use amp sims. I use what's in this box, which is called a Fractal Axe Effects, and that is a it's an expensive rack that's about this big, and you can take it and it's got every sound and everything in this. This was actually one of the first songs that was recorded with that, and I'll go through some of the guitar layers and you can see how to kind of make these thick guitars too. So we've got like this.
Yo, guys, if you got questions, go over there.
Oh, yeah. Hi. So these are like the guitars that are coming in, right? So that's like a regular distorted tone. That one's a little bit higher up. You got. So you boxier tone, more bandpass, something that kind of fills out that spectrum, because you also have to think, we want that vocal to cut through nicely in a mix, you have to think what's going to go right around that. Little lead going on. Little vent film bullshit, And that's how that all gets built up. There's some other guitars in here, like this texture guitar, right? Which is just super reverbed out, long sustained note, super pad, just kind of everything sitting on top. There's actually one other thing that's kind of cool in here. So this is something that I actually learned through 9 Inch Nails, which is taking like a piano, like a contact piano or whatever, and just pitching it down super low, and you get these really cool aliasy kind of like frequencies. Yeah. That's the kind of thing. There just is a little texture, a little something to fill it out. Questions? What's up?
I do. Going back to your vocals,
Yeah.
the vocals that you had a high, a mid, and a low. Were they all the same take that you manipulated later?
No,
Or was
they're
it
all
different?
three different takes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so you think that for texture wise, it's a lot better to kind of do different takes to get.
It's what you're going for. I mean, like you could do something, you know, if you listen to like an OK track, the artist OK, not like that kind of shit. You know, if you listen to like Thief, he records a vocal and he pitched one up and pitched one down, and that's an effect. It's whatever you want to go for. We're going for a supernatural kind of like Metallica style vocal, but obviously with way more layers and stuff. So that's why we did that.
Awesome. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Sick. What up?
Hi, two-part question.
Okay.
One, how many layers do you have in this
Layers meaning like in total or with vocals?
in total?
Okay, so we have, I'm gonna miss a couple things. We've got vocals, guitar clean, guitar distorted, what is it, fucking the piano, there's an effects one, I'll go through, there's acoustic guitars, you have 3 different guitars, there's the solo guitar, whatever the fuck this is, I don't know, oh, preverbs, these are like vocal preverbs, right? That will bring you into the vocal, let you know, let the listener know there's something coming, but they don't know yet, right? Just kind of, if I'll take all that stuff out real quick, sorry to get off your question, I'll get back to it.
It's only
Right? It's not fine, but
it's only
you do those with basses, do that with everything, do it with drums, like I do all kinds of stuff, reverse kicks into kicks, so you get that like whoosh kind of feeling, really cool. Stuff like that. So there's that, there's the piano, texture guitar, live bass, what's this bass even sound like? Probably shit. Oh, it sounds pretty good. And then we've got live drums. Here's that's better example. That we got like sub risers. So I mean, let's just call it. I actually didn't do the drops. Jeff did those, so they're in these like little stems that he just sent me and said, "Here, put these in." So it's like this stuff. But I mean, when I did get those and start mixing them, I think that was like 7 or 8 stems. So let's say it's 20 layers.
Okay, so part 2. How you
Get a little closer to the mic, I can't hear you.
How do you keep those 20 layers from becoming just 20?
I mean, that kind of comes with just mixing and knowing where things are supposed to sit. You definitely, I mean, oh god, good question, because I don't fucking know, man. Like, you know, 7 years of this, it's, you know,
So just practice, take your
yeah, I
time,
mean, it's
do it
practice,
right.
it's knowing that less can be more as so long as you know how to manipulate the sounds to fit where they need to. So like, you know, I've learned how my voice is supposed to sit. So I go, okay, cool, I want my voice to hit between 2,000 and 3,000 hertz, right? That's where my fundamental maybe is going to hit. You're going to get this nice tonality, and then I want the high end to be nice and crispy. I mean, if I go in to this, right? So like I'm cutting out here really dramatically at like 2.2K. And then we have this API, which is a Waves plugin, and this is just fucking cranking 10K. So you get that really high airiness, right? So stuff like that. So I'm going, all right, I don't want everything to interfere with that. My guitars are going to be maybe low passed a little bit. That way that high end kind of comes through in the vocals there, and then the guitar is doing what that's doing. You know, that just kind of comes with mixing. It's knowing how things fit. It's I can turn a lot of this master off too if you kind of want to hear it. This isn't unmastered, no master change. There you go, now it's unmastered. So it's just getting things without going into limiters. You know, the biggest thing you're going to run into is, okay, cool, I like my song, it's dope. How do I get it as loud as an excision track? Right? Like, how do I get it fucking banging? And what you're going to do is you're going to start running it into limiters. You're going to do this, and it's going to start getting cluttered. And, you know, that's not really the approach that I would take when you're starting off, is it's really get things to sound really great quiet. If it sounds good quiet, when you turn it up, it's going to be loud. You can always do that later. And people are so worried about, like, you know, I need to fucking slam on main stage. It's not, don't worry about that. So, just kind of practicing. Yeah. Sorry.
When you do vocal melodies, do you do the same melody each one for all of the notes? So the different octaves, is it the same melody or is it different?
For an octave, usually. Yeah, like I'll usually do that low. That's so captivate me one. That's the same as the so captivate me. Like those are the same ones. It's just that octave up, right? But then I'll do some other layers that are harmonies to that, like a minor third or whatever. If you guys don't know music theory, then I'm sorry. I don't really know music theory either. I just kind of play guitar, so I know that. So, yeah. Any other question? You good? Is that it? Answer it? Okay.
Okay, my question is actually also a vocal question. It's
Yeah.
more along the lines of sometimes I'll work with artists where they can't necessarily sing in a higher pitch octave or whatever, and I'll go and try and manipulate the voice so that way I can layer it and make a harmonic. However, I always end up with, I guess, quality loss. Like it's not,
Always.
it's not as warm.
The second you touch something that's recorded and you manipulate it, the second you hit, I mean, how many of you guys are in Ableton? Okay, so you know when you hit a warp button, you can stretch and do that. The second you hit warp, you are degrading the quality of that audio instantly. Because do you guys know what warp does? Everybody raise your hand that knows what warp does. That was a lot less than people that knew what warp is. So warp basically is taking whatever audio you have and slicing it into a million little pieces. And then when you stretch it, it's duplicating some of those little pieces to make it longer. And it's also, contracting it, it's deleting some of them. So the second you hit warp, you're putting little baby slices into something, right? It's like if you slice an apple 1,000 times, but then just stack it on top of each other. It's gonna be different than that whole apple, right? So, when you're doing that, if you're gonna use Melodyne, which is all totally fine, auto-tune, use whatever you gotta use to make it sound good, you're going to change the sound. But there is not one artist on this planet right now that's in the top 40 on Spotify or iTunes, whatever, that is not doing that. So that's going to come down to mixing so that it doesn't sound like poo-poo.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi. My question is relating to the way you layer your guitar. Like,
Okay.
say you're doing you're saying with the left and right, you have a double on each one. Do you play each of those individually, or do you just copy and paste and pan?
Every double,
Yeah.
you cannot copy and paste and pan.
Okay.
You guys know the difference between mono and stereo?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody here does? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, how many of you do not know the difference between mono and stereo? Okay, that's cool. So I'm going to explain that. Mono is one single thing that's playing exactly the same in both speakers. So it comes out sounding like this. Okay? Stereo is two slightly different or completely different sounds that are playing in different speakers, in the left and the right. That's why it sounds different. And I can actually show you that. Here, let's just do this real quick. I can give you that as an example. So if I take this, right? So, right into the middle. If I duplicate it, and I solo, and I go left and right, it's still the exact same. Nothing changed. Okay, but if I take it, and let's say you can do this, this is a way to make a double of something without actually recording, and I just move it off a little. Stereo! Sweet. Okay. So that's that.
Thank you. I was just always wondering, how with layers,
Yeah.
how when you're playing, how you get it so exact, on every note,
Yeah, that's just getting things tight. You
Right.
know.
Metronome practice.
Metronome practice, exactly. Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
Do you have any tips for writing lyrics? We're talking about humming and stuff, and you're humming the melody for
For writing the lyrics or writing the melody?
writing the lyrics.
So for writing the lyrics, being a lyricist is, that's something that's hard to teach. It's kind of, you find inspiration, you find little lines and things that are like, oh, that's interesting, maybe I haven't heard that. It's hard to say, because there's lyrics that I put out that people are like, that's my favorite song, and I'm like, oh, I hate those lyrics. And it's very objective. Like lyrics, it's, you could say someone's the best lyricist on the planet, but a song like Marshmallow Friends is the biggest song on the planet, right? So, it's totally an opinion of what you kind of like and what you're writing. If you're struggling with it, start finding things that rhyme, start finding things that kind of maybe fit together and tell a little bit of a story. A lot of the songs that I write are freestyle. I freestyled this song. It was It's Lonely at the Top, So I'm Told, and then just kind of started writing off of that. Blood Within Me is Black and Blue, All For You. Just kind of start doing stuff like that. Pick your favorites. Start writing just nonstop. Cool.
Did you base that the lyrics off of the melody that you'd written while you were humming?
Yeah, kind of. Definitely. I kind of had the, it's lonely at the top. Had that kind of going, and I thought that was a cool flow. Now let's just kind of play off of that whole thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course, no problem.
Just a couple of drum-related questions.
Mhm.
You having live drums in your music, obviously they have a much more natural, organic texture to them.
Yeah.
I find even when I choose good drum samples, I find a lot of them sound very computerized and just not interesting. So how do you add texture and just uniqueness to drums, and also how do you build negative space around drums to make them stand out?
You're talking about electronic or live drums?
Specifically electronic, because I can't drum,
Oh,
but I want to
okay.
have better sounding drums that aren't very computerized.
Okay, so you want, better textured drums. Virtual ride sample. Like I'm gonna be dead ass, man. Like they're fucking great. Like don't spend your time making the perfect drum because they're already out there, and no one's gonna call you out on your kick drum. And if they do, they're a total douchebag.
I mean, I'm wearing a calendar.
So yeah, the Calendar, yeah. But I mean, I think like, finding the right drums is, it's a good question because I went through that too, of just being like, why don't my kicks sound good or whatever. But like, let's do it. That's a live kick. Haha, that's a good one. Let's do this. Guarantee this is a Cymatics kick. Oh, look at that. Kick's good. A little EQ, limit it, get it kind of punching, and that's what you do.
Do you like to use Impulse?
I used to. I just moved over to drum racks, but that was kind of how I started, and that's basically what I did. But I mean, dude, that's my kick drum, and it filters in, and then it ends up being, once it's done filtering, it's, oh, I should solo it. It's. How's that? I mean, like if I pulled in, love you too. Let's find. See if I have it in here. Let's hold it. Sorry to get off topic here. We're talking about drums. And these kicks. Like this is a stem for. There we go. Like the Fight Through the Pain kick, is fucking guitar. Big sub, nice click on top, put a hi-hat on it if it doesn't have enough click. You kind of have to just think with your drums, guys, like, what is it that is missing? Like, okay, it doesn't sound like it's punching through enough. Okay, well, a couple questions. Sidechain, is everything sidechaining properly? Okay, there's not enough hi-hat. Do I actually boost the hi-hat with an EQ or just add a hi-hat click on top, add a top kick? Take another kick, put it on top, high pass it to 8K. And, you kind of have to just really think logically when you're mixing and coming up with your drum sounds of just like, what's not there that I'm looking for? And they're simple questions. Every single thing in music and writing is all simple. There's nothing complex. I've never run into a mastering engineer who's like, it's these super secret things. I was working, a great example, I was working with Kill the Noise, who is somebody that I literally thought was the most genius, and he must be using some plugin that no one else has ever heard of because his stuff is the best, right? And I got in the studio and he was like, yeah, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. And he's just like, yeah, I just put this sound in, I stretched it, and it sounded weird, and so I put it in my song, and I was like, well, that just ruined my entire life. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you still use distortion pedals, or do you use...
Yes. I use one pedal now.
What's your favorite?
And it's Precision Drive by Misha Mansour, yeah? Periphery fans, anybody? There you go. Best pedal. Gotcha, man.
Hey there. Hey,
Hi.
so when you start a song, do you start from the very beginning and just like work it all the way through, or do you like know what you want to do for like the build up and just work it all different places, or how you?
It always changes. So like, this song again started at the beginning. Sometimes it's a cool drum pattern, sometimes it's a metal breakdown, sometimes it's one dubstep sound I wrote on a plane, or a serum patch. The tip that I do have that will make your life easier when you're writing is work big to small. Don't get stuck on writing your drop first and having everything perfect. Get a drop in, be like, okay, the idea is there. Now get a small build in, put in the Cymatics 16-bar build loop, go do an intro, go do something, bounce around the track. That's how you're gonna finish songs faster than finishing drops and then waiting 6 months to write an intro. It's start getting a full, flushed out idea quickly, and then you're good. You wouldn't sit and fully cook a steak and then go do all the sides and salad, right? It's all timing and getting everything done so that it's nice and done quickly. Sweet.
All right, perfect, thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
And when you do collaborations, like with this song, for example, do you and Jeff sit down and be like, okay, you're gonna do the vocals, you're gonna do the drop, we match in this key, or do you guys have like a storyline and you guys kind of feed off of each other?
Good question, both.
Yeah.
So Fight Through the Pain, he was like, let's do something fucking heavy. And I was like, oh yeah, let's do heavy. I can do.
That's too heavy.
Too heavy. Yeah, Fight Through the Pain, we kind of sat down and said, let's just do like something really cool and like dark. Okay, cool. Got up to the drop. He's like, all right, let me take it from there. I'm gonna do some drop stuff, mess around. I came back with like this breakdown thing, and he was like, that's sick. And the last thing was the vocal. That was the very last thing we did. Wake Up was the opposite. We started with the vocal and moved around that. So, yeah. Huh? I can't hear you.
It kind of just depends on whatever you're kind of going
Yeah,
for.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally depends every single time.
I don't sing, that's why I do electronic music. So That's why.
Yeah, it's really like it's easiest when you have an idea, and you know, and it can be a reference. You can be like, dude, let's do something that's like Metallica but new age. So it always changes. So, man,
Hey, I record my own guitar and my music, and I just sort of love to hear about your process for that.
the process for writing or recording.
More recording and mixing.
Okay, recording and mixing.
workflow-wise.
Is there like a plan thing? We good? Sweet.
Yo, the people who are about to get feedback real quick, other than the ones who I told to come up from last time, are Bree Finesca and Derek Frady. Go grab your shit.
So with recording and mixing, I do absolutely as little as possible. So I have tones that I like that are like my tones that I use live and I use in my songs. Layering them obviously however they are. Like if I went through these guitars here, which are the same guitars that I use pretty much for most songs. I gotta lose my here. You can see like, you know, we've got, okay, an auto filter, EQ auto filter, boosting highs, boosting around like 2 to 3K. And then on the group, we've got limiting them, EQing, and then the rest is just like volume shaping. And then I use like this frequency shifter and use the fine tune for pitching up because it does some cool stuff. But I mean, there's really nothing. The only other thing that I would do for guitar if you're trying to get a little bit more like hiss and sizzle is, if you're in Ableton, is using amp and throw that on and just put the drive weight to like 5%. That's it.
Do you like mic your amps or do you DI mostly?
I DI now. I used to on my older stuff May 2018 was all a mic'd up PV 6505 plus into a Schecter cab.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. My question for you is also related to collabs, like with Excision. I'm assuming that both of you are busy boys in different places, and how do you normally go about collaborating with long distance? Do you do video chats, or
Text and send an idea back and forth. Like most stuff that we do. I
Just
mean, huh?
oh no, just like upload the media file and stuff? My bad.
No, we usually like just bounce stems, or like if he comes up with an idea, like I mean, you guys know my song "Fuck It" with Riot 10? Okay, if you know that song, Riot 10 sent me a 16-bar drop, and I built around that in about 6 hours, and the song was done and it was put out.
Easy as that?
It's easy as that. Like it really can just be like, dude, if you have an idea and someone can work off it. I mean, like how quickly can you guys bust through like a remix when you have like a stem or an idea or a vocal, right? You can find some vocal online, throw it into a project, and build around it, and that's all it is. And that's basically what we did. It was just, you know, here's my guitars and stuff. Have at it. I'm done.
Sick.
Like I said, it's all simple. Cool.
I was just wondering if you could go over your master chain a little bit for me.
Yep. Yeah, master chain. It's definitely changed since this, and especially because it was a song with Excisions. I was very particular about my master. Normally, it's literally just limiter, EQ, mid-side, take out the lows, like mono, make your sub. Lauren, you guys know how to do that? You guys? Raise your hand if you know how to do that. Okay, if you don't know that, what you're supposed to do on a master, I used to use this plugin, and what it is and how you get your stuff nice and punchy is you mono make this knob right here. You can also do it with an EQ here, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. I'm not, Max. So normally what you can do if you're in Ableton is you can throw an EQ on, go to mode, MS, which stands for mid-side, meaning that you're making this stuff here, you're only processing what is dead center, right? So if I took this song, that's everything, but if I went like this, I could take out everything in the stereo. So that's everything. My drums are center, my vocal is center, and some guitars are center. Everything else is stereo. So what you're supposed to do is go like this and take everything out of the low end, because what happens is if you have sub in the left and right that's not the same, you know, and it's gonna phase, it's gonna sound like poop. So you need to mono everything. So yeah, that's basically the important thing. And then slam it, sausage fattener. I'm not fucking kidding. Cool. Thank you so much.
Hello.
One more, go for it.
So I am really new to just mixing. I haven't even produced yet. I just
Okay.
took this on a whim because I want to soak in all the knowledge.
Look closer to the mic. You're good.
Sorry. Did you start mixing and get really good with that first, and then start producing?
Oh, my mixing was shit.
people?
My mixing's
Or,
terrible.
What like advice would you give for that for someone who wants to produce like long-term goal? Like that's the goal. For
You want to produce, you're starting with mixing, is what you said.
Yeah, I didn't know if I should just like throw myself into producing and just learn that, or if mixing first and kind of getting a feel for things was better.
I mean, I think that to be an incredible producer and artist, you should know absolutely everything. So I think wherever you start is great. You know, if you kind of picked up stems and you're like, let's see how I can mix this track, and you want to get better, like that's the place to start. I know a lot of people that started as mix engineers. I think Zombo is a great example of that. And then moved into producing, and people like me that wanted to produce and had to really pick up mixing along the way. So, you know, wherever you start is great. Yeah.
I appreciate the feedback.
Cool. Feedback time.
All right, feedback time. Can I get the Dr. G?
This one? Oh, you know you did. Oh, you want that penny.
All right, let's get these guys on the microphone. I think it's on the bottom.
What's that? Oh, is it as
Okay.
So, is it going to play on the monitors, or what are we going to? But is it going to play here for me, or should I run up front?
Hello,
Well,
my name is Braxton. My artist name is Weeabay. It's a play on the words weeaboo and bay. Yeah, that's the other one. My song is called Boo Flow Toad. O's.
Man, this is fun. I wish I had more time. No. That's me. Oh, thank you. Who said that? You?
That sounds great.
Yeah, that was great, man.
Yeah. Shit. I mean, yeah. I think the only. I don't really have much feedback. That sounds fucking good up here.
I would say the only thing that I would say would probably be as the drop sounded really good and like the bass arrangement was tight. I kind of wanted it to just like develop and progress a little bit more as the drop went on. Like you could have like maybe added like a new set of like hi-hat rolls or something like that, or even just taken like duplicate the bass patch and just like change the octave of like the FM signal, or like change the filter type or something like that. So you keep the same roots of the tune or of the bass, like just the same vibe, but it's like the ancient like Lil Jon technique where it's like da, 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 and the next time it goes da, 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 like up,
Yeah.
So like that's just a great way to progress. But I thought the group was great.
Yeah, everything was good. Only thing I would say is maybe this is just not a mixing thing for the bass, the actual sounds. A little more low mids. So because there's a big separation between the sub and then kind of like all the noises and the sounds that you have. Like if you kind of
The
just
sub
bring
felt
that
a
in.
little hot too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, dope, man.
Otherwise,
Make some noise
thanks,
for
thanks,
Braxton.
yeah, I'm gonna do that. Nice. Really sick.
Cool. Want to give yourself the
Hello, everybody. My name is Derek.
Hi,
I
Derek.
produce under the name Nine Lives, spelled like the German way, so it's like a play on words. But I started producing a couple years ago after starting to go to like Electric Forest, other festivals, shit like that. So my track is called Oh Baby.
Oh, baby.
I would say the only critique I would have would probably be I didn't like absolutely love the melodic elements. It felt like there were moments that I don't know, the conversation wasn't really happening for me. Like, but I feel like if you just stuck with maybe that art from the intro, I feel like when the chords came in, maybe they were just voiced in an interesting way or something like that. But the drop was fucking sick, and the mix sound sounded good too.
Yeah, I would say up front could have used a little more sub. So maybe there was something on the master that was getting rolled off. And in the bass sounds, whatever your bass group is, there's a lot of like the 3 to 4K. So when those basses come in, it's a little sharp. And then the risers in your build were also really loud with like effects. I don't know if you want to pull that up again. But... Yeah. You good? Okay. Yeah, so I would just say that. Those are kind of my only notes. I kind of agree with Max too. Like the melodic elements, if you're going to put a melody in something, make sure that there's a reason it's there. A lot of people kind of are like, oh, well, Virtual Rider, Barely Alive have melodies, so I guess I should do that. But like, make sure it's doing something for the track. You know what I mean? Cool. Sweet.
Cool.
Thanks so much,
Make
man.
noise. Hell yeah. One more time, make some noise for Sullivan King. That was great. Okay. You get your one? Okay. Awesome, man. Okay, so we'll have a little break here. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much. You guys are amazing. And if you do want to send me music, if you guys take any of these notes to, heart or they help you out, promo at sullivankingmusic.com. And I'm glad to listen to anything you guys have. So, have a great weekend.
All right, we got Downlink up next, guys, and this will be the last one of the day. Downlink. Yes, we got